Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. How about copywriting your likeness so that you can combat deep fakes? Now, I use some editing software when I do my videos, and on this program here, they keep sending me an advertisement on how I can create basically my own deep fake, meaning instead of having my face and my voice, like I'm right now, this is me speaking, but this program could actually take a script and read it in my voice. They could actually take a picture of me and make a video of me, and hopefully you would know it wasn't really me and that it was a clone. So this is something that is very startling to me and alarming to me. So this one says, tired of recording? Get your personal avatar to do it instead. Make realistic videos of yourself talking by cloning your face and voice. No more need to record yourself or edit out mistakes. And then it says you can clone your face and voice, and you can record in your own webcam, and it's ready. How do you like this? In 5 to 6 hours. Now, I have not done this upgrade. I'm not interested in doing this upgrade, and I never will. Now, I'm not on camera today only because it takes time to get ready to get on camera, and I'm not at home, so it's easier for me to share my screen. Plus, I wanted to share with you some images and information about countries like the United States, and Denmark actually is taking it even a step farther to help protect people from deep fakes. I'm going to share with you that legislation. We're going to talk about the pros and the cons because you know me, I don't take things at face value, and there might be some nefarious reasons for this legislation that I want to make sure that we can guard against. So before we do any of that, I want to thank the sponsor of our video, and that is noblegoldinvestments.com. And you can learn all about your options here. You can give them a call at 877-646-5347. The website is noblegoldinvestments.com. And I've been letting you know that gold has gone mainstream. You're seeing it everywhere, and the prices keep climbing. It is unbelievable. Gold keeps setting records again and again. And more Americans are catching on to the power of gold. So how do you take advantage of it? Well, you can learn from Noble Gold Investments how to invest in a way that's safe and simple and built for the long run. When you call Noble Gold, you're going to speak to a specialist in the United States who is trained to help investors like you go from confused to confident, from wondering what's next to knowing exactly what to do. So maybe you want to roll over an old 401k, maybe you want to get it into a gold IRA, or maybe you want to get your hands on some of these precious metals and have the bars and the coins delivered right to your home. And friends, that is where Noble Gold makes the process simple, safe, and stress-free. You're going to get step-by-step guidance, transparent pricing, and a US-based service team. And they've handled billions of dollars in precious metal transactions. So protecting and growing your wealth is not just their job at Noble Gold, it is their commitment. And here is a bonus in October for qualified accounts. You will get both a 10-ounce silver American flag bar and a 1-ounce silver American Eagle proof coin. And as of today, this has about a $700 value. So check it out, friends. You can also download free information over at noblegoldinvestments.com. I'll have a link for you along with the disclaimer that all investment carries a risk. So get your questions answered by the experts over at noblegoldinvestments.com. I want to thank my Healthy American who sent me this information today about Denmark proposing a copyright law that grants citizens ownership of their face, their voice, and their body to fight against the AI deep fakes. So this law basically it's a little controversial to me because when I think about it, it's like, don't you already own your own face and your own likeness? But what Denmark is proposing is this law that is going to help people demand the removal of unauthorized AI generated content that uses their image, and they can pursue legal action for damages. So this is a bill that has been proposed, and it could take effect as early as winter 2025. So, as far as I understand it, as of today, it has not been passed yet. But I want to ask you, and then we're going to look at some of these comments because I think it's so very interesting. Let me just read the headline here, or the information here. In a world where artificial intelligence can replicate a person's voice or face in seconds, Denmark is stepping forward with a groundbreaking proposal. See, I made a mistake. I don't think a deep fake can make a mistake. But I want to talk about if that ever happened to you. But this is a copyright law that grants every citizen ownership over their own likeness. So that means no one, not even AI companies, could legally use your face, your voice, or your body data without consent. I've been covering digital IDs and what they're doing at airports and so forth. So perhaps this would move us in the right direction. This move comes amid growing global, you know how I feel about that word, concerns about deep fakes, where digital replicas of real people are used in scams, misinformation, and even political manipulation. By treating human dignity as intellectual property, Denmark aims to ensure individuals have legal control over how AI models use their personal traits. This could become a, wait for it, global blueprint for digital rights, forcing technology to serve humanity and not exploit it. In the age of deepfakes, Denmark reminds the world that authenticity is worth protecting. Well, let me know what you think about that, friends. Absolutely, I am in favor of restricting the deep fakes. Now, as far as I understand it, I have not, although somebody did send me something recently. They didn't give me a link to the video, but they did say that I was featured in a video. I don't even think it was me. Some people get me confused, or they think that Lee Dundas is Peggy Hall for some reason. I guess because she's got blonde hair and wears glasses, although we really don't we don't resemble each other in many ways. So that may have been the case. I have heard from people, and Lee Dundas has heard from people thinking that they thought Lee Dundas was me and so forth. So anyhow, that's the only thing I can think of. And back in the day, unfortunately, people used my likeness on posters saying that I was speaking at certain events, and then people would show up. I remember somebody drove all the way from New York to Arizona or something, thinking I was going to be, or maybe it was New Mexico or Texas or something. And they had used my name on the poster without my permission. I had never been invited to that event. And it was back in the cooties hogwash days, and I certainly wasn't going to get on a plane to fly to Texas or New Mexico or something. And one other time that happened in California, somebody told me that my face was on a poster for an event, and they went there thinking they were going to see me, and it was not true. I had never been invited because I keep my word, and if I were going to be speaking somewhere, I would be there. So that is what has happened to me. It's not exactly like using my image in a video. And I have seen some really weird, creepy, like advertisements where obviously that's not Oprah or someone in the advertisement. They're really poor quality examples of that. So that likely is going to happen more and more. Now, I was not able to find that video, which I thought was kind of interesting. Somebody sent me, of Bob Kennedy talking about vaping and children being fat, and it was obviously a deep fake, but they used it to show how easy it was to take someone's face and create a video, or even use a previous video and change out the audio to make them say something that they hadn't said. So if you see my video showing up on someone else's platform, or you see someone interviewing me, because I really don't do interviews by other people per se, check on my YouTube channel. If it's not on my YouTube channel, it most likely is not me. So what I thought was interesting were the comments here, because here's one in favor, saying, stand up for your sovereign rights. The government should not be mining our data. And then Leanne says, if you have ownership that's given through government, does not open the door for selling identities formally, even your own, I'm not even sure if this is an AI comment. What I was understanding this comment to mean was that we don't need a copyright. We already own our own bodies, our own identities, our own face and our voice. Do we really need some kind of form or approval of the government saying that we do? And that's where I take issue with this. Why should I have to file a copyright on my own likeness? I already own it. It should not be used by anyone else. Why do we need additional laws to do that? So Claire here says it should be Australians' rights too. No one should be able to use your face or voice without permission. Well, do we really need more laws on that? And if so, do we actually need a copyright law? So this is what's concerning to me, is creating more laws. How do you prove that it's you? Oh, let me guess. Digital biometrics, anyone? Would I have to send in my fingerprints to the government in order to get that copyright? Would I have to have my face scanned and my irises scanned? And would they do some sort of digital clone to make sure that they could match it up? Otherwise, where does it end? How do you file a complaint against this copyright? How do you prove that it's actually you if you have some sort of copyright on you? So that is where I digress, or I actually don't go along with these kinds of copyright laws. Here, Jacob says, what if someone else looks like you? It happens all the time. Would they have a legitimate claim to fight your copyright, or is it first come, first protected? So I think there are some very legitimate concerns here. A couple other things. Here is another headline. Denmark leads the EU, the European Union push to copyright faces in fight against deepfakes. Friends, let me know in a comment. Would you like me to do some detailed videos on the European Union in terms of how it got started and why that is not good? In my opinion, I preferred back in the old days where each country was just sovereign and had their own currency and their own border control. I did a video just a few days ago about the contactless digital passport and biometric scanning in order to get into these European Union countries, except for the UK, because they exited the European Union. Good for them. So I'd be happy to cover that if you're interested. However, this is all about Denmark wanting to be the leader in copywriting your own image, likeness, face, and voice. Here's something that's troubling to me. The World Economic Forum, which used to be headed up by Nasal Schwab, yes, I think that's his nickname, reminds me of the nasal Schwab test that they would inflict upon people in order to keep their jobs without getting the jab. So the World Economic Forum, which has no political power, it is simply an organization that people belong to, and it gets so much press and it's always in the headlines, people begin to think that it actually is an international body of governance. And that's what they want you to believe. But they have no power unless you give it to them. The same thing about the WHO. I stopped talking about them a long time ago. I was not going to be one of those fear mongerers or flu mongerers, as the case may be, intimidating people and traumatizing people and terrorizing people, making them think that the WHO was going to be running their lives. Now, I'm not saying that the WHO doesn't try to run your life, but you're in charge of your life. Don't give your power away. But when I saw that the World Economic Forum, or the WEF, which is staffed with a bunch of WEFers, as I call them, when I saw that they were so-called concerned about the deep fakes, that made me go, huh, if the WEF is speaking out against it and I'm opposed to the WEF, perhaps I am not aligned with this movement in terms of pushing back in this way. So they simply describe the deep fakes as using artificial intelligence to create highly realistic fake images, videos, and audio recordings. Now, friends, I do need to say, you can do just a quick search on YouTube and you are going to see so many deep fakes with Charlie Kirk's parents. Oh my gosh, it's absolutely, I will have to spend some time compiling that for you. There are deep fakes of Charlie saying things. There was a church that even created or had someone create, or at least they broadcast, a deep fake of Charlie Kirk speaking to them after he had so-called passed away. And it was the creepiest, most bizarre thing. And even people in that church didn't care for it. So it truly is getting out of hand. Let's see what else I have for you. Here in the United States, Trump signed into law the bipartisan Tools to Address Known Exploitation by Immobilizing Technological Deepfakes on Websites and Networks Act. They had to come up with a lot of gobbledygook there to have an acronym that equaled Take It Down Act, or the Act. So basically, this prohibits any person from knowingly publishing without consent intimate, visual depictions of minors. Well, I would say there should be no pictures of anyone without consent, whether it's intimate or not. And it does say that in this law. So it does require covered platforms, including public websites, to establish takedown process so that people like you or me could actually report this and have that be taken care of. So I would like to hear from you. In fact, let's see if you are there, and I can there we are. All right. Thank you, everyone who's leaving comments. Thank you, Valerie, for being on board as a moderator, and Rhonda as well. And here, Earthship Bear says, the last thing we need is more laws. Rita says, this is where my thoughts went immediately too, meaning that, hey, how are we actually going to prove that it's me? What if someone says that I'm not me? How do I prove it with all the biometrics and the fingerprints and all of that? I don't want the government breathing down my neck. Backass Words, Weird World, says it's headed toward DNA, digital money growing on your family tree. Oh, that's interesting. Joe says something's rotten in Denmark. Swiss says, where does it end? Yes, disengage from the system, Earthship Bear is saying. Absolutely. So on the one hand, it could say, wow, people could say, this is fantastic. But on the other hand, then we are embroiled and entangled more with the government. And Silent Walk says, no contact, no comply, government operate on your it operates on your compliance. And let's see, I'll end on this comment from All Senses Firing. I doubt anyone is going to want to deep fake me. Well, that is pretty funny, and I hope that is the case. Listen, friends, I do have a second video for you, a short video. It's a follow-up from the video I did yesterday about basically lawmakers calling for these monuments and roads being named after Charlie Kirk. So if you want more Charlie Kirk coverage, this is your lucky day. I've got a short video coming up for you. Give me a few moments and I'll hop back on with you live. And I want to thank everybody for being on board. Remember, get on my free Substack, peggyhall.substack.com. And oh, here's another comment just popped in. Winged Eternally said, does this mean truthers won't be able to post pics of doing things that expose the truth? You see, this is the slippery slope. I love my healthy Americans. You are so savvy and sophisticated and supportive. You are able to read between the lies, to think critically, to think deeply, and to pose your concerns and your questions. And you know, sometimes you're snarky like I am when called for. So I love reading your comments. Trust me, I am copying down all of your leads and links and the little clues and things that you leave in the comments. I've got notebooks filled with things to research and more videos to bring to you. So I couldn't do it without your help. I appreciate your support. And as we are getting near the end of the month, remember the first Saturday of every month, I thank you. I support you for supporting me in the private live webinars, and we can speak without any censorship. You can interact with me, interact in the chat. I answer your questions live. So make sure that you are a supporter, meaning a paid subscriber on Substack. If you have sent a donation, please email support@thehealthyamerican.org, because anyone that has donated in any way at any time is invited on board in the private monthly webinars, first Saturday of every month, and that's 4 p.m. Pacific. They are all recorded, so you can see them at your leisure as well. Again, Kari says, my concern is trying to prove I'm me. I think we will see what real identity theft is. Friends, I do want to leave on a happy note. I believe that this is going to backfire. I believe that more and more people are going to get off their cell phones. They're going to refuse to go along with this. And that is how we individually can stand up against it. I do my banking in person. I try to use cash as much as possible. I really do what I can to minimize my digital footprint, so to speak. Not my carbon footprint. I'm not worried about that, although that will be coming next. So something to be on guard about as well. All right, friends, that was the long Tennessee goodbye. I'll see you in the very next broadcast. I've got a second video coming for you right up.